Former President Goodluck Jonathan has called for a truce in Rivers State political crisis, asking Governor Siminalayi Fubara and his predecessor, Nyesom Wike, to work together. Jonathan made a call on Monday during the flag-off of the Trans-Calabari Road, describing the incessant battles between governors and their predecessors and political tension in Rivers State as worrisome. Our correspondent Bernard Akede has been keeping tabs on this issue, now reports.
People of Bakana community in Rivers State excited to see former President Goodluck Jonathan at the flag-off ceremony of the Trans-Calabari Road, a road which the people say, when completed, will bring development to the community.
I'm a bona fide child of Bakana. In fact, this place has been something else. The insecurity, the way of going on. Sometimes you prepare, you get to the water side, they say there's lockdown, you couldn't go to your community. But right now, with this road, economic development will rot into our communities.
So the number of years they stayed promising us severally that road will come, severally, that is their normal campaign. But today, we are over happy.
Besides just addressing the benefits of the road to be constructed, the former president sees the opportunity to address the lingering political crisis in the state between the sitting governor, Siminalayi Fubara, and his predecessor, Nyesom Wike, who is the current FCT minister.
Honorable Minister Nyesom Wike and Governor Siminalayi Fubara must work together for developing the land and the people of Rivers State. The tension will not help us. Rivers State is very critical in this country. Rivers State is the heart of the Niger Delta. If Rivers State is destabilized, the whole Niger Delta will be destabilized. And it will not end within the Niger Delta alone, because I'm from this part of the country and I know how the system works. And we wouldn't want any crisis in Rivers State.
Recently, some commissioners loyal to Wike have resigned for the second time, while lawmakers faithful to the FCT minister have intensified their brawl with Fubara. But members of the Elders Forum in the state have praised the governor for remaining focused and continuing with projects like this despite the distractions.
He has decided that in spite of the issues around him, he has to continue with the governance of the state and continue with the things he was voted to do. He has to go on implementing projects and commissioning them.
According to the indigenous of the community, the benefits of this road to be constructed are numerous, and their message to the governor is that he overlooks political distraction and continues such good works, road constructions and other infrastructural projects, so that at the end of his tenure, he can look back and celebrate the success of his achievements. In Port Harcourt for News Central, I'm Bernard Akede.
Joining me on the news from Rivers State to discuss this is a public affairs analyst, Godswill Jumbo. Good afternoon. Glad to have you join me.
Yes, good afternoon. Always
Yes.
a pleasure being with you.
Let me start by asking you how you perceive the truce call by Goodluck Jonathan for peace between Fubara and then Nyesom Wike.
Okay. Yesterday, some of us who have been following, tracking the issues in Rivers State were actually impressed. I think the former president lived up to the billing of his reputation. He lived up to the billing of how and the way a statesman carries himself. This is, the way leaders. This is what we actually expected from the president, Bola Tinubu, during the so-called peace truce that he was, organizing. If you look at what he said, he acknowledged there was a situation, there was a crisis situation in the state. He, analyzed the implications. And, Rivers State, Lagos, and Kaduna State are the three pillars on which Nigeria, rests. And for Rivers State, it is more impactful because this is where the oil is coming from. anything that happens in Rivers State, impacts the rest of the country. And the former president was able to point that out. And then he had to zero in on the key players. And he didn't come condemning anybody. He didn't go upbraiding anybody or reprimanding anybody. He drew them to what they should do. Come together. If you love Rivers State, if you love Rivers people, if you love the development of Rivers State, then you have to find a way to work together. You have to put your differences aside. You have to, play up to the higher issues, to the bigger, imperatives. You have to play to that. And that is what, any state man should have done. So for us, and we expect that the FCT minister also heard him loud and clear. And in a way, that is a former president speaking. So we would expect that all the presidents, heads of state, and other leaders of Nigeria have spoken through Goodluck Jonathan. And I think everybody should play to that, So that is what we expect for Rivers State.
Just to quickly chip in there, God's will. Just to chip in there, God will recall that the president himself tried to broker peace between Nyesom Wike and Fubara, where he allowed them sign the 8 points, agreement. Now, looking at the antecedents of both Wike and Fubara, do you think this intervention by the former President Goodluck Jonathan can yield any results?
Okay, we expect that this will serve as a watershed, a turning point of how things are playing out in Rivers State. If you also check, after the president has spoken, even the governor's body language during his speech before the former president spoke, you find that component of crisis, that conflict language, that combative, rhetoric was missing. Or just that he was there. The governor had to mind what he was saying. And if you watch the coverage on different platforms, you would notice where even when one of the youth leaders, Ihuwo, wanted to go somewhere with his speech, the governor quickly gave him a sign to, cut that out. And he didn't proceed beyond that point. Now, Jonathan's approach is different from Tinubu's approach because in this case, he analyzed the problem and then he gave them action points. He gave them tasks. In the case of the president, Tinubu, he asked them to go and do what is illegal, what is unconstitutional. How can you ask the governor of a state to go and breach the constitution? That is no peace. And look at, did it yield anything? One party was fighting and then the other party was trying to, play along and it wasn't working and this party had to revolt and then the state was almost on fire before this call by the former president coming in and trying to. So we expect that this will be a turning point for the state. This will douse the tension because, whatever Wike is, from being minister, the president, Jonathan, when he was president, appointed him as a minister of education and then later also supported him in his ambition to emerge as governor of Rivers State. And so Nyesom Wike owes him that, a reverence.
If I may come in there, God's will. Just to quickly come in there, God's will. You talked about fighting. I mean, speaking of fighting, we all know in politics, or it appears to be in politics, there are no permanent enemies, in politics, as it were. If you take a critical look over the weekend, we saw the news of members of PDP in Osun State defecting to APC. Now, what are the likely scenarios, bound to play out in this particular case of Nyesom Wike and Governor Fubara?
Okay, yes, the political environment is a shifting ground. It is driven by principles and it is driven by interests. And those interests could be egalitarian or they could be pedestrian. They could be noble or they could be filthy. So these are the things, the two things, principles and interests, that drive, actions, alignments in the political space, So in this case now, we are expecting that everybody will remain where they are. By the way, Wike is not moving to APC anytime soon. He may have deceived or misled his, followers to the 27 lawmakers to defect to APC. But Wike knows that Rivers State is PDP. He knows it. He knows it like the back of his hand that Rivers State is PDP. And that's why he's not moving to anywhere. There are speculations that he's staying back to destroy the PDP. Well, he cannot destroy the PDP. He does not have the capacity. He does not have what it takes to destroy the PDP. And then he cannot also continue to use the PDP as a bargaining chip, to get anything from the president anymore, because already he has been unraveled. So I expect that he will find a way to make amends with his political godson, which is the sitting governor of Rivers State. And then, the speculations too that the governor is going to move to APC to appease the president. No, the governor is not moving. You do not need to move to any political party to appease the sitting president of Nigeria. You stay where you are, you focus on development, you partner with the president to make sure that his own programs are effective within your own space. Because actually, even though you are a subnational, you share some level of sovereignty with him. He cannot control you. You are the governor of your state, and you are recognized by the constitution just like he is. So the best that can happen is that the governor will align with the president in terms of governance, in terms of development, in terms of making sure that the people within his state, feel the impact of the presidency that the president is running, within that space. So that's what is going to happen. Nobody is going to decamp to anywhere in Rivers State anymore. In fact, if anybody is going to even decamp, they will come to PDP, because Rivers State is intensely PDP. I have said it on this program several times. The Rivers State is intensely PDP. That is why Wike is not moving. That is why most of, even the Amechi followers, that were raided into APC. You see that they've moved back to PDP, even though
Mr. Jumbo,
former Governor Rotimi is still there in APC. Yes,
Well, time like this, say will tell, but thank you so much for your insight on the news. Godswill Jumbo, a public affairs analyst. Thank you once again.